Rod Weber's here to call out bullshit whether you like it or not.
Is Mr. Weber being detained, sir?
I'm a documentarian.
There's a fine tradition of trolling for a cause throughout history.
It's like he's putting a strap on and owning Putin. Getting him. I am, of course, the only candidate who will open the case about Epstein. You're a corporate shell, Mike!
You wrote the Patriot Act, ushering in 1,000 years of George Orwell.
We're calling out the bullshit that is part of the system that we're living under.
Well, how can you protect our freedom when our kids are dying?
If there's a virus out there, you take it, you get it in, and you get rid of it.
You know, it's a fine line between a cop and a fucking criminal.
We're not the New York Times where we endorse two people. We only get one vote.
We have never had anything like this in American history.
This whole argument about the violent left falls apart when you stand in front of a Proud Boy, because they throw the first punch.
Suck, Trump, cock! Suck, Trump, cock! Antifa is not an organization. Antifa is an idea.
I think that is a great example of ethical trolling at its best.
Welcome. We're live. Mike Crawford, Young Jurks. I hope you all can hear me. Producing and hosting the show right now, live streaming. My name again is Mike Crawford, and as you saw, we started with a trailer from 2020, The Dumpster Fire. It's trying to, I see what I'm doing. I'm trying to do a couple different things on the stream at once. For people listening to the podcast later, sometimes you don't get that, I guess, if you're not watching the live video. But we're the Young Jurks. My name is Mike Crawford. We have two special guests. I'm going to bring them right up right now. Rod and Lauren from 2020, The Dumpster Fire movie. They're friends of the show. Lauren obviously is a longtime past co-host of the Young Jurks for quite, I don't know, probably 2-3 years. We've been going almost 10. So like we've had a few hosts over the year. Not. It's so funny. People throw that at me. Like we've had a lot of hosts, and it's like, no, we actually haven't had that many. We've been on a long time. But Lauren and Frank really were like the two kind of longest serving co-hosts of the show with me for, a number of years. And Lauren is here tonight, and Rod, her husband, Rod Weber. And they're the two folks behind this movie that we just played, the trailer, 2020, The Dumpster Fire. So what's up, guys?
Well, I actually just want to say it was you who brought us together, because when we had John Hugo on and Rod called in the show and then blew up my Facebook Messenger talking about, Super Happy Fun America, that's how we kind of met. So thank you, Mike.
So actually, you're gonna say thank you to the Proud Boy affiliated John Hugo. Fascism brought us together, I guess.
Or anti-fascism. They're the worst of frenemies, the best of frenemies. At that time, I think the group was actually called Boston Free Speech. It became Resist Marxism. Then it became Super Happy Fun America. And at that time, John Hugo, I don't think was a part of Super Happy. That was in 2017, and he was on about some other shenanigans running for Congress.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because he came on the show running for Congress. It was the day or like the weekend after Charlottesville. So after Heather Heyer got killed, that was the weekend you guys met, which is when John Hugo came on the show. So already he was facing some opposition, because here's a Republican coming on the Young Jurks, number one. Number two, it's the weekend after Charlottesville, and he's a Republican. So he wasn't playing the Trump card. He actually was kind of opposing Trump in that interview and trying to be like the more sensible, liberal, middle of the road Republican. And he was getting shit from all sides, which is crazy. And since then, he's gone Proud Boy on us, right?
I don't know if that he identifies as Proud Boy, but he's certainly Proud Boy adjacent. At that time, I think he was also he seemed to be espousing a more kind of libertarian philosophy. I even remember in some of the other interviews that he claimed libertarianism. Whether or not that's true, well, we can see. He's just a self-promoter with a tri-corner hat trying
It's so funny too.
Yeah. Trying to get himself out there any way he can, really. I don't know.
Later, he said about that show that he had lied, that he didn't. Now that he's not running for Congress anymore, he doesn't have to lie about who he really is or what his real beliefs are.
Yeah, I don't know, but we were at that Super Happy Fun America rally a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they were saying, we will not comply, and then the police tell them to go, and I'm like, wait, I thought you weren't complying. Like, are you protesters or are you police collaborators? Because I know Samson Richapi spent a lot of time with his Fed informant handlers, at least according to his old buddy Mike Mora, when he popped in on the live stream when they crashed my documentary about Super Happy Fun America called The Oppressed Majority.
Well, Samson did tell us he will never cooperate with police again. A couple weeks
again.
Yeah.
That's like it's like the FBI saying we will never have a serial killer on our confidential informant payroll again. I mean, so we're already getting a bunch of listeners and comments, so I'm just gonna start posting them up from people leaving comments on our live feed. Andy wrote, "Hey Lauren," and Michael Picard.
Oh, everyone
the famous
knows
troll,
so Picard was there at
says these two are jerks. We got to say what he's commented first. He says these two are jerks. He's calling you guys jerks, I guess.
He spelled it wrong.
No, Mike's cool. Yes, we are jerks, but that's not the point.
I mean, isn't he the professional douchebag?
Oh yeah. So Mike Picard, if you're not familiar with him, I know Mike Crawford's familiar with him, but for the audience out there, he goes by professional douche. He's one of the newest up and coming trolls, really making a run for Vermin Supreme. Vermin, if you're watching this, you better watch out because Picard's going to give you a run for your money. This guy is out there and he's making waves. He's young. He's ambitious. He doesn't need a boot on his head. He's just going in there and he's dragging the flag and he's fucking with the right wingers, trampling on it. He doesn't even have to set them on fire. But man, does he get their goat? I mean,
it's really good.
Their dander gets.
It's so funny because
he shows up at these rallies.
Yeah, the right calls everyone snowflakes, but all you got to do to show who the real snowflakes is get into a pig costume and show up at one of these Back to Blue rallies, and that's what Michael Picard does, and he makes them so friggin' angry with just that costume. I mean, the stuff that he does is hilarious. Yeah. Michael Driscoll said, "Hey." We got a lot of people commenting. Calvin Feliciano, a friend of the show, said, my guy Rod slid in those DMs, as the kids would say.
I guess that's true. I guess that's what happened. You slid into my DMs. Well, complaining about John Hugo or something.
No, I wasn't. But I didn't slide into her DMs like I was trying to slide into her pants. I slid in just being like I'm an angry. Well, I don't want to say okay, fine. Maybe I'm an angry person, but I was sliding into her DMs just to rant about this guy.
Well, you just hit the mark, I guess. I don't know. We became friends, and then became
I'll hit
partners.
Your mark, all right.
This is a love story today. Talking to grandkids 50 years from now. So me and your grandpa met taking fascists down. That's also Calvin's other comment on your relationship.
All our first dates were like messing with Nazis. And Rod and me bailing Rod out or something. Like, yes.
I don't know if they were dates proper. It was just
now.
I guess we can call them that now. But it was like I'd get an emergency call from Lawrence, like NSC 131 is doing a rally here, or like, are we going? And I'm like, are we going? Like, I'll be there. Yeah, like I'll be there in 20 minutes. We got. Come on, put some clothes on, or not, whatever. We just need to get down there and yell at these people. Make fun
now,
of them.
Now let's talk about, because we're kind of it's like old friends catching up on a lot of different stuff, but this is a serious show tonight, and it's also exciting in a way too, because number one, you have a movie coming out. This is like a pretty damn big movie. It looks like from the outside looking in, it's putting it up again. The banner. Let's put that banner back up. 2020, The Dumpster Fire. But you also have, there we go. There's the banner, 2020, The Dumpster Fire. You got this documentary coming out. And, basically I've been following you guys, watching what you're doing while I'm walking dogs, while I'm working a day job. I see what you guys have been doing. I also obviously love it and support it because it's exposing the idiot, like how much idiots these guys are. Like I went out to a Diana Plus rally and filmed one of the idiots, and it was a great viral video because the guy basically admitted how stupid he was on camera, and I showed him how. It was awesome. And you guys do that over and over. Michael Picard is another one. You're just showing how dumb they really are. Number one, how low IQ, and like they don't know anything. They don't know any facts. And number two, the big thing is how violent they are. They truly are violent. Like they're like ignorant, violent oafs. That's what they are. And it like we knew January 6th was happening because of the coverage that you guys were doing, because of the coverage that other folks have been doing. Like we saw it at the rallies locally. We knew what was happening in Danvers, what was happening in Boston, what was happening in Somerville, in all over the state where you guys would follow, whether it was Cape Cod or New Hampshire or Drake or where are some of the places you've been going over this, with this movie?
There was the Mansfield one.
Well, I mean, if you're speaking strictly New England, strictly Blue Lives Matter, it's more limited. But I mean, in the scope of making the film, I went to all of the lower 48. I mean, I drew a lot upon the 2016 film, which became a part of 2020. While I was going to a lot of these rallies, I was simultaneously trained myself to become a lawyer, and without having passed the bar, was serving as my own attorney, suing Donald Trump, which is, largely, if the theory is correct, the reason that we're in the situation we're in, which we will get to in a minute. But as to answer your questions, I mean, some of the big ones, I was in Portland, Oregon. I was out there to cover the protests there for a couple of weeks. I was in Seattle at the CHOP or the CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone or occupied protest, depending on which name you're going with. I was in DC. I was in New York. But some of the big ones that we did Londonderry, New Hampshire. There was a crazy Trump rally there. These Trumpers tried to strangle Lauren at one point. I mean, this was just because we were holding signs. I don't know if you want to talk to that, but
I mean, they were very, they were signs that stated my very outright opinion on Trump being a pedophile. And I guess that people at Trump rallies don't like that very much. I did have some good conversations with like a lot of women there, but then a bunch of like dudes in militia type of clothes tackled me and choked me, and that was
and I mean
interesting. But and you can just see the sort of the buildup of the like militant sort of idea and the sort of violence that they're capable of. Whereas if you looked on the left at the time, at least in, I wasn't leaving around the country. I was staying in, Boston, New England. I did not see that sort of violence from people on the left. I saw a lot of like mutual aid on our off time when there wasn't some counter protest. I saw a lot of looking out for each other. I did not see choking a girl half your size from the left. And so it was pretty clear who the violent people were.
And I want to say as her future husband, as that
at the time future.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's okay. Well, I don't know how the time travel works here, but as someone had sights and designs, I don't know, and kind of feelings for you. As that unfolded, it was extremely difficult getting to you. I want to say we were mobbed. It was 4 of us to thousands of them. We were the only ones protesting this major Trump rally in New Hampshire. So it was me, Lauren, Emery Galen, and Anthony Petrovich, who were both the producers on the film. And
the Secret Service was there. So.
And the Secret Service are not producers on our film. But man, I mean, it was quite the melee. It was, you said, I think the sign was one of those, Trump is a pedophile, or I don't know, some of that effect, but it was an utter melee, and it felt there. Yeah, okay, but I don't mind getting hurt myself, but what was so hard about that particular moment was that I could see that they were getting at Lauren, and I was pushed away. I couldn't I couldn't do anything to stop them. And that's one of that kind of powerlessness.
Some undercover pulled some of them off me. I'm pretty sure it was fine.
Yeah.
Also, I protected you.
Absolutely.
So let's not act like I'm like incapable of like handling myself here.
I'm just saying the depth of the depravity that they will go to in order to silence someone who's just going there with a protest sign when they claim to be the party of free speech. You know, well, it's
and there was a lot of people there with a lot of weird signs. I wasn't the only one. You know, like there was a lot of strange.
Well, they were all in favor of Trump to one degree. We were the only lefties there.
Well, yeah, obvious left, but at the same time, there were signs about like stuff I didn't even know about, like probably like protein shedding, like virus stuff. You know, anti-vax stuff I didn't know about. Like, you know, so it wasn't like we had the weirdest signs there.
But I feel like we should get this conversation
back
on topic. I mean, because we could go on about the various stories that we have on the campaign trail, but should we frame this about the film in 2020, or do you want to talk more about?
Basically the big thing I think we kind of touched on was the violence. There was a lot of violence that happened. Basically, at one point, you sued the Trump administration, right?
And won.
Not the administration, the campaign, excuse me, the Trump campaign, and won. You also had an incident with Hunter Biden, the art museum.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't there. Hunter Biden.
No, I know, but his art exhibit, you did a protest at.
So in that particular one, which was early July of 2021, to be an equal opportunity offender, certainly I would prefer anyone to Donald Trump. I hate to say that Biden might be less worse than anyone because quite honestly, the Democrats, in my opinion, and I know you're more of a moderate, Mike, but I feel as though that Biden's still pushing the military.
I think I'm more of a policy guy, and this is where I totally, if we want to get into the real transportation bill, infrastructure bill, the Build Back Better, those aren't moderate. Those are progressive. Those are like once in 25 years type investments in this country. But I'm worried about this country. But that's not what I'm having you here for. I don't care about where you stand. I care about the fact that you've been exposing these right-wing idiots, and they look terrible, and they are violent, and you did the Hunter Biden thing, which I think is actually legitimate. I voted for Joe Biden. I support a lot of what Joe Biden is doing, but at the same time, you brought up a very legitimate concern about his son and this art thing, and I thought it was totally fair to do. I know you got some pushback from it. You got arrested. Nothing happened, right? They drop all the charges in the end. You got any charges against you? Maybe one.
I was detained as a special detainee and interrogated, or the Secret Service attempted to interrogate me. So a minor incident, which was actually just a disorderly person charge. That was everything except for that was dropped. They detained me for an extra period of time so the Secret Service could get in there. They put me in this small room with the spinning office chair, the shitty lights, and the two-way mirror to watch what I was doing. So I just spun around in the chair and played air drums to Dark Side of the Moon, which is what I put into my head at that time. And I can pick all kinds of albums throughout music history and just play along to it, whether I'm bothering Lauren by playing Beatles songs, which we don't want to get into, or whatever it may be. I'm also a musician, and so I can go through the patterns and just enjoy my time listening to what's in my head. And I wanted to show to them that they had no power over me other than what they could do to me physically. They would not get to my spirit. They would not get to my mind. And so then when they went in there, Agents Geo and Agent Hope, as they introduced themselves as, and this is actually shows up in my New York.
When you say SA, are they federal?
Secret Service.
Secret Service.
Secret Service. Okay. So because you protested Hunter Biden, his art exhibit,
Yeah.
And the pay to play nature of it, the corruption. I just think it was shady, the whole thing. Basically this first art exhibit ever, and this guy's charging top dollar to who knows what.
$500,000 a piece.
Yeah, the son of the
well, we'll
president
never
of the
know
United
who
States.
because they made it anonymous. So.
There was a lot of issues with that whole thing. So
Right,
you did a
so-
protest. You went into the place. You did a protest. You did some something that didn't even damage the place.
Well, yeah.
They threw a few charges at you. Let me set this up for people. They threw a few charges at you. So you have two charges against you. One is the only one that's actually disturbing the peace. So basically, they got you on disturbing the peace, but they sent the Secret Service in to talk to you. What do they say to you?
They also claimed that I'd committed assault and battery. Was the charges.
But that got dropped, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, because
so basically, again, they're upcharging, which is what they do. They overcharge. They hope that you'll be a little wimp and plead out to something, or get scared. But they overcharge. They charge you for something that you obviously. I watched the video. If anyone was being kidnapped or held captive, it was you. You were being held captive by that dude on top of you, sweating on you. But let's just. So basically, the Secret Service. What are they saying to you? What's the deal when they come in?
First of all, they wanted to know my name, where I lived, and what I was doing there, and but they had to first ask if I consented to the interview, and I said, well, I don't know. I mean, you have to explain to me more what's happening. I wasn't properly Mirandized initially, and you're gonna first have to tell me who you are, what your names are, and what is this all about? Because really actually I stopped myself there, but what I wanted to say was all I did was come in here with some hairspray, which is the equivalent of sidewalk chalk, and there's been a number of New York City cases where they've gone after sidewalk artists that use and I don't mean using spray paint, they literally just use sidewalk chalk, and that's been made an issue, and it's a non-issue because it washes right off. And that was similar to the Art Basel case, which I had in 2019. I also used lipstick, and they dropped all the charges because, again, it washed off. And the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Department said everything was dropped because Mr. Weber did no harm. Same thing here in New York City. In this particular case, they interrogated me because they felt as though I didn't represent their values in some way. And I think as we move on, to the larger conversation, we're going to see that that's a repeated theme.
Let's get to that part right now, because this is like, when did this happen? The Secret Service thing. First of all,
that was July.
July. Okay, so this is July of 2021. We're talking this year.
Yeah.
And over this year, there's been other things happening. I know. How do you want to broach this too? Because I don't want to.
Okay, well, so just to give like a quick overview of what happened in 2020, and I'm going to do it real quick because I know we have limited time. But I've done a number of serious films, and as well as silly ones. Press Majority, War of North Dakota. One was Proud Boys. The other was about Standing Rock, and I tackled serious subjects in those films. But I also directed This Is Vermin Supreme, about his 2016 campaign, the satirical candidate with a boot on his head. So we go down the road of two different things. And both of these things, as far as I'm concerned, fit under the topic of journalism. First half of 2020 was silly mode. Vermin and I were trolling the New Hampshire primaries, as we do, like merry pranksters. And when the George Floyd protests hit, I was out in Minneapolis, and I was right in there, the thick of it, where all the city was burning down, and cops were popping off rubber bullets, and Trumpers in their pickup trucks were going by, literally doing drive-by shootings. We were, ducking live rounds of ammunition. I documented black men being torn from their cars by National Guardsmen. I saw cops doing drive-by shootings with flashbangs and other munitions. I traveled to Portland, to cover all those things. And quite frankly, I spent a lot of time documenting the misdeeds of various police departments across the nation. And I'm sure they feel like what I did put a little egg on their faces. And so when December of 2020 rolled around. They started doing Stop the Steal. There were calls for martial law, both by these Stop the Steal people, Trumpers, and those kind of things. And by January 6th, obviously they were raiding the Capitol. And shortly after that, then I was getting calls. I was being visited by Agent Creed and Kimball. So Andy Creed is a Boston cop deputized by the JTTF, by the imbued with the power of the FBI. But he's more or less a security guard who works as a bouncer at Centerfold Strip Club, who's been given the powers of the FBI, who's butthurt over the fact that we'd gone to a lot of these Blue Live rallies and made fun of folks. Showed them to be the fools that they are, exposed their hypocrisies, and he was there with this guy, Agent Steve Kimball, who is full on FBI. He is well known, is in fact infamous for being a part of the Boston Marathon bomber trial, and obviously fuck the marathon bomber. But this guy almost screwed up the case against the bomber. Because he made so many demonstrably false statements on the stand. He took so his beat is taking people out of context and working as a guy who threads narratives for prosecutors,
and they're best friends.
Yes. So Agent Creed and Kimball, they're besties.
They all you do is see them hang out on their phone together.
But so this guy Kimball was one of the so-called people called on the stand in the marathon bomber trial, and the defense for Tsarnaev caught him basically making up this false narrative using clips and quotes from Tosh.0 and Key and motherfucking Peel. Sorry, I swear. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see where that deserves a mother effing in the middle of that? Because good God, that level of dishonesty by an FBI agent in order to thread a narrative, which was so easily threaded. I mean, they had this guy dead to rights. They didn't need to make up these lies. But you can go and see the Key and Peele skit. It's called CIA Interrogation. Look that one up, where Key is playing the investigator, and he's like, "Yo, man, you did 9/11. You did 9/11," and Peele's playing a stereotypical Arab or Muslim looking guy. It's like, no, I work at a convenience store. We're the architects of 7-Eleven. And so these are the guys coming after us. They accused me of a plot to falsely assassinate Donald Trump.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Which is
when was that they came to you with that?
January. This is right after January 6th.
So
January.
And the Secret Service was there.
So basically, why they should be looking into Diana Ploss and all these other truly violent people.
Well,
they're coming to you with a Trump assassination plot.
Creed actually gets intel from Diana Ploss, as we have seen in other cases like Shimmy's, where he will actually take Diana Ploss's testimony as opposed to pretty much everybody else that was there. So it's pretty clear whose side he's on and who he actually cares about. And
to that point, because Shimmy, which I think a lot of the Boston folks know about, is basically it's a racist prosecution, against a black man who had water thrown on him, and then he's arrested for assault himself. Now, it's important to note that Agent Creed, who's the one that Lauren's talking about, who's stringing these false narratives, was found out through anonymous leaks back in 2011 that he was working with Northeast White Pride, to help them do their rallies. And it's clearly spelled out. I'd be happy to share all those links for this guy. So we've got a pro-Trump JTTF agent who is in favor of white pride. And this other guy, Kimball, who's known for lying on the stand and threading false narratives, showing up, to say falsely that I'm, some kind of assassin based upon a promotional video for our film 2020 The Dumpster Fire in theaters December 7th.
Now,
coming to Apple TV and other.
How did they get there? Because I I've watched
well,
you
Proud
guys.
Boy. The Proud Boys tipped them off, which I cannot confirm or deny if there's any proof of this. But if you know me, well, you can guess that stuff is coming.
A little mouse was in the corner listening and heard him straight up say, "Well, I was just at a Proud Boy's house, and he's the one who, So
yeah,
there's a lot.
I'm not one to lose the receipts over these things. But
so basically, the people they should be investigating. This is how it always works too. I see this so much. We're probably. I'm gonna, I'm making a list of upcoming shows that we're doing, and there's a case. I don't know if you guys know about it called Molly Bish. You ever heard of Molly Bish? No?
Sounds familiar.
She was a missing teenager that went missing in Walden Pond, and it's been a lot of stories written about who could have done it. They've never found out who did it, but one of the theories is that there's this sex molester who basically set up one of my friends on a cannabis deal where the police tried to take his land because he was he was in high times. He was known as a hippie locally. He did too much activism. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Cops decided to set him up on fake charges. And we know they were fake because the confidential informant they used was this guy, Jared Battistoni, who was a convicted sex offender of children. And they claim that Gerald Battistoni bought weed from my friend at his house on like 3 different occasions, right? Dates and times. The whole problem is my friend was like 70 miles away in Boston fighting for his life in the hospital for like a week.
So
because he almost died, they knew that Jared Battistoni was lying.
When they get somebody to testify or inform like that, they just put words in their mouth and have you sign a piece of paper that says what they want you to say. We also have the receipts on what's going on with us with regards to that. But
and Jerry Battistoni, like a lot of people, there's a Facebook group about him. The victim of that incident that I'm talking about, Captain Joint CJ Bunn, who was a member, board member of Masscan back in the day. He's continuing to fight for that. Like he feels like, he actually went into it's funny because he went into the FBI office to discuss, and he felt like the FBI were going to help him out. I don't know, it's funny. I know, right? So this stuff goes on a lot.
Yeah.
It's like I said it earlier, I think on the show, the serial killers have been FBI confidential informants. They have been. Whitey Bulger was like one of the top confidential informants in Boston. And if you watch the movie too, there's a new documentary out too. I think it's on Netflix. It's like Whitey Bulger, U.S. government versus Whitey Bulger, something like that. You watch that documentary, it's a question of whether Whitey actually even cooperated. I'm not even sure he did. I think he was trying to buy the FBI agents, and they basically lied that they wrote up reports of stuff that Whitey apparently said and did, and I don't think he said it. Like that's how corrupt the FBI is. Like the FBI is so corrupt. They have been, and it wasn't just Whitey. If you go to New York, there's a guy that was even worse, Scarpo. Right. He killed like over 50 people. Like he did less than 30 days in jail. Like it's just disgusting. The more of a killer or scumbag criminal you are, the more of a Proud Boy you are, the more the FBI gives you money and power.
You have something worthwhile to them. What's crazy is that the FBI will go to the same lengths of lying and putting words in people's mouths that they never said for victimless crimes. There's no murder. There's no
That's what's crazy about this situation.
In Walden Pond, there's nothing. There's no missing people. It's like they will do the same thing.
We made a movie
for a big nothing burger.
Right.
It's awful, just because there's some vendettas going on.
So now where are we at? So they came to you, kind of jumping around again, but they came to you about an allegation from a Proud Boy that you were gonna. This is crazy. Assassinate Donald Trump, which is BS. I'm gonna say you guys are both nonviolent people, right?
Yeah.
You don't advocate for violence. You're not you're not a violent club.
We're like the Monty Python. Help! I'm being a press guy who just complains when we get beat up.
My 2016 film was called Flowers for Peace, which is an act of peace activism. So,
so what happens now? The FBI is questioning you about this. You laugh in their faces. How does it progress from where you're at now?
There was quite a bit of laughing that went on, but they also mentioned my victory over Donald Trump in my civil case, which I won in late December, and we actually got into because they'd seen plenty of our work. They said, yeah, we're familiar with your work. You're the guy with the big dicks and the big vaginas. And we got in the silliest conversation about these. We brought out these props at a lot of the rallies that said Trump. It was like a big dick that we'd show up, and it'd just be very upsetting. And I'd say, well, no, we're dicks for Trump. We're in favor for Trump.
Yeah.
Why are you so upset?
Cardboard cutouts.
Even that Londonderry was one of them where they attacked us because we had these big dicks, and Wilmington again, big dicks. They couldn't handle the big dicks. Drives them insane. Even when I'm saying that we're in favor of it. And so then the FBI agents actually they were ranting about their favorite videos. Which
the Secret Service guy was too.
The Secret Service guy, all of them. And it seemed as though in a sense they were fans. But also I knew they were being duplicitous, but I listened to what they had to say because how can you pass up that moment where it was kind of like Abby Hoffman and Chicago 7 was like where I get to have that kind of interaction. But they bring up the Trump lawsuit, and then they actually come back a couple weeks later. After they had decided that it wasn't an assassination plot, and at that point they say that, listen, man, we got a subpoena for you. You need to come out this thing in February, and I at that point I knew that they were very serious about it, and was doing my best not to answer anything whatsoever. Any communication I had in that interaction was in the form of a question, like, what do you want from me? What's happening here? And they said that Lauren at that point was then the target of their investigation, and that they would get me for quote unquote lying to the FBI like Martha Stewart. And that was they're like, hey, be careful, you don't want to be the next Martha Stewart. And said, Martha Stewart, what are you even talking about? It was parsed in a very strange way. February, those grand juries were supposed to happen. They were issued to me and Anthony Petrovich, who I mentioned earlier, and it got thrown out of the Massachusetts courts because it's an absolute bullcrap case.
Now this was a federal court in the Boston federal court, right?
Yeah.
So they have a federal court in downtown Boston. That's where it was tossed out of. Originally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pull up the actual.
So did it was actually heard by a grand jury at that point or not?
No, the grand jury was canceled.
Okay.
Because the AUSA decided it was bogus.
So what everyone should understand, the
AUSA is the assistant U.S. attorney.
So grand juries are not the same thing as a regular court hearing that everyone's used to. A grand jury is a secret investigation where they determine whether or not they're going to prosecute, whether they're going to indict someone. It's a secret process where you're not allowed to have a defense attorney there. And only the prosecution is able to put forward their facts. And so that's exactly what happened. And even with the FBI supplying all the quote unquote facts, the prosecutor, the AUSA, who's Timothy H. Kistner, I actually pulled up my subpoena here. He decided that even then, with the prosecutor putting forward the facts, that it wasn't enough, so they canceled it before it even happened.
And this was after they subpoenaed you and Aubrey, who also works on the movie Embry. Sorry, Embry. Is it Embry Galen? Is that it?
Yep.
Embry Galen, who also works on 2020, the dumpster fire movie. Yep. So this is thrown out in Boston, the U.S. feds.
However, Creed kept knocking. He knocked on about 14 doors of people completely unrelated to the filming of the movie at all. My parents, he knocked on my parents' door after it was canceled. He knocked on various friends' doors. This is Evan, Mel,
from Runner's Radio.
Yeah. Evan,
what do your parents say when the feds show up?
They said, "What are you doing here?" Well, it's actually, they mostly talk shit about Rod to my parents. And my parents are like, oh, we think he's a nice man.
Well, and so I think it was at that point they realized that we were married, and that actually what they were doing was illegal. Because,
well, it's not because we were married that it was illegal. I had already acquired.
Because they were lawyered up is why it's illegal.
Yes, exactly. But let me just, because my parents have told me the story. It seemed like he was an idiot. There was 3 of them there. There was somebody in training that they didn't get their name. It was Creed, I believe it was Creed and Kimball and someone else. And they were asking a lot of questions about my probation status and about my recovery, and trying to find any way they could get my parents to say anything bad about me or Rod. And my parents weren't having it. They were like, what are you acting? What is this about? And they're like, well, and they're talking about this video, this trailer and all this stuff. And they're like, nobody's at risk here. I don't know anyone in this video. And I don't know, there's nobody's a dangerous person. So I think this is stupid. Maybe you should just go home. And this is not important. And so then Creed went to go say that, well, I already showed this trailer to her probation officer, and he said that he hates her and that he'll be violating her for probation violation for this making of this trailer. I called my PO the next week, and my PO had been informing me that I was under investigation since about August of 2020. Creed has been contacting my PO, and my PO was not very interested in dealing with him. So I called my PO. I said, so I guess this Creed guy told my parents that you hate me and that you're gonna you want to talk about this? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I would never say that about you. You're like the easiest probationer I've had. I can't believe he would say that. I'm actually really annoyed that he would say that to somebody and lie. I would never, nobody hates you here. You're great. What the hell? And so it was really alarming because he was trying to threaten my parents. His goal was to have my parents make me call him. I don't even live with my parents. So to have my parents make me call him, which would be illegal because I was already represented by an attorney at that point. So that's what happened there. And, they called, said, oh, they were worried about my probation. Oh, your probation officer hates you. I'm like, no, he doesn't. And so I called him and he's like, no, I don't. And I'm just whatever. Also, my dad did inform him that the grand jury was canceled, and he did the whole duh. Oh, shit. Really? Oh, shit. It's canceled. What the hell? Which I'm sure was amusing to watch. But, it didn't end. They just kept prosecutor shopping. So that's the position we're in.
So now
in May, they got in my face again. I told them to basically go pound sand. That's the most polite way I can say it. They came to me talking about some incident that happened at a Shiva Ayodhya rally.
A report was filed on
where one of Shiva's people punched me in the face. And they said, oh, there's been a report that you were assaulted. I didn't even engage them. I said, I didn't even answer. I just said, get the F out of here.
Is it the two same guys, Steve Kimball and Andrew Creed? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it keeps going. I mean,
I wonder how much money they're getting paid to her.
I mean, Kimball called.
They're getting $170,000 a year. You can go see that on Woke Windows.
It's unbelievable. 170 G's a year to harass you two.
Yeah. You can also see video of Creed stopping me from filming a Super Happy Fun America organizing event. So not only does he work with Northeast White Pride, he's in favor of the Straight Pride group. I think we did all the George Floyd protests and those things, but I think stuff really ramped up again when I came back from across country, and Super Happy Fun America had their big rally in Boston. That was in October of 2020. And it was the rally against Democrat violence is what they called it, which is nonsensical because the violence is all the right wingers. And so we came with a large cardboard effigy of Donald Trump, which I had created. And we planned out a skit.
I dressed as E. Jean Carroll.
So E. Jean Carroll is the advice columnist who accused Donald Trump, I think quite credibly, of rape. They had an encounter back in the 90s, and in this we kind of reenacted Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where E. Jean Carroll rips out the heart. Well, I'll let you, since you did it.
So Embry did a great job as a makeup artist of becoming Donald Trump, which was alarming and kind of scary to see my friend turn into Donald Trump. But yes, I gave a speech as Eugene Carroll, and then they gave a speech as Trump, and I did the Kalima heart-ripping thing, and then you did the thing, and we burned the effigy, and we basically stole the show, because that's what you do.
Absolutely evil.
Yes, and I guess we eat
Alex
babies
Jones,
and
right?
Satanists, but I don't know, but it stole the show, and that was the headline, not whatever they had to say. That's the point.
Yeah. The point was to take away any of the thunder that Super Happy Fun America had there. And everyone from Alex Jones to Andy Ngo to Ian Miles Chung branded us as Satanists, which it also was brought up by the agents in their initial visit back in January. So I get slapped after that with a bogus probable cause hearing. The cops also falsifying their statements to make it look like I was some kind of monster, when instead they didn't mention this, that I was engaged in First Amendment protected free speech. Once again, that was kicked out of court.
So this was Boston, right? Now this is Boston, right?
Yeah, that's Boston.
Now you also had an incident in Boston. It's funny because I myself, I've been trying to figure out why this Agent Creed has such a hard on for you.
Oh, he's had a hard on for every leftist since Occupy.
But I think it's about Boston. He's from Boston. You were part of the group that really kind of exposed how bad Boston police and the courts were when they basically assaulted you all and then pressed charges, and the DA was against the charges. It was just that whole thing. Super Happy Fun America. Yep. When the bike cops came out, and we all went crazy about the Danalicki and all those. So I think that the whole Boston thing, I think that it's funny. It's very strange. So now what happens? Tell let's wrap this up, because we've been kind of leading people on. I think people already know. A lot of our audience know what's happening.
So August, Embry and Anthony got served with new subpoenas for September grand juries. Those got for various reasons. It seemed like those got canceled or postponed.
Well, Embry had surgery. It was like.
So yes, Embry is a trans man. Was going for the transition from female to male, and was basically being harassed by these agents as they were going through surgery, and so that got postponed. And then there was an October one. One of the other people who was called as a witness in October actually called me up after their grand jury and said that they lied on the stand, basically at the behest of the prosecutors. Basically, it was a confession to me. He was making confession, and he in order to get immunity, and he felt so guilty about it, he even posted his paperwork for this up on Instagram. It's right there and in your face. So this is what we're dealing with. We've got white supremacist JTTF. We've got a lying FBI agent in Steve Kimball, and then on top of that, they're bringing forward witnesses who are they're forcing to lie on the stand to tell their narrative, which we can demonstrably, easily prove. This guy felt so guilty about it that he's posting it on Instagram, and I'm not bringing up his name because I don't want to inflame the issue any more than it has been. And so then in November, it seemed like things. Well, I guess it's still November. It feels like December, but it got a little bit more worked up for the November 17th grand jury. Can you grab me another one of those? No.
So right now, Lauren is looking at she's the one being prosecuted and targeted through a federal grand jury up in the state of Maine right now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I get indicted all the time. It just sucks. You know this. I don't know why I always get indicted. Every time I sneeze.
Let's not joke about these things, because some people listening don't know. They're gonna be like.
But part of our lawyer's strategy was that we made this change.org petition, which has been signed by I think close to 800 people at this point, which we kind of just got in about a week, and then got. He collected the best 40 character witness statements, and many of them were quite lengthy, talking about Lauren's work doing mutual aid, working at the for the food pantry, the what's the church called there, basically her social work, her work on Renter's Radio, and then he came back at us a couple days ago, and it was so brief and curt, he might as well have just told us to F off.
The prosecutor.
Which says to us that these grand juries are likely going to continue into December.
This is the prosecutor that you sent
yes,
the letters.
The main prosecutor.
His name is Dan Perry.
Yeah.
If anyone knows him.
What's his name? Full name?
His name is Dan Perry. If anyone knows him, say hi for me. I'm a really
wait.
nice person.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah. So he's up in Maine. Is he from Maine? Do we? Yeah.
Yes,
they're all Maine people. But so I mean, this thing is that they're going to end up with egg on their face. We just got put into the pool. For the Oscars. We're just basically put into consideration by the AMPAs, which is the American Motion Picture Academy, and they're reviewing the film. That's not saying we're even going to get nominated, but the point is that there's a big company behind what we're doing. Our film is going to go out December 7th, having a theatrical release in New York City. They're booking theaters across the country, and this is going to go out pre-sales on Apple TV December 6th for VOD streaming starting on January 6th. Very symbolic. It's also going to be on Amazon, Vudu, Google, a bunch of other things which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I mean the list goes on and on and on. I've been making a mini documentary about all of this, which is not ready for the public. But sure enough, I have documented everything that's going on. And they're going to end up with even more egg on their face, because this is, it's a baseless prosecution or persecution. And my wife doesn't deserve any of this. I mean, she's a saint that wouldn't hurt a fly. And as my sister said, if a fly were to keel over dead, Lauren would get it a home, a shelter, and make sure that it had some way
you know what?
to find a
It's
job
so true.
and integrate it into society.
Right.
This is the person that Lauren is, and the idea that she's any kind of dangerous person is absolutely absurd. You watch Jon Stewart's latest thing called The Problem with Guns. He even says that like 10,000 people per year become federal violators of this. Mark Wahlberg in his film Shooter goes this is a convicted felon who is you are a convicted felon. Yes, but my point is even if they are correct about the worst accusations they're making, the things that we're talking about is
free speech.
It's free
and
speech.
Also,
and it's a vendetta too, and you can tell. You can tell it's a vendetta. It's political persecution. And again, I want to bring that up too. Like Lauren, I've known you for quite a while now. Like you hit me up all the time to help people. Like it's like we had a friend recently that had some rental issues, and you were like, we gotta get our friend, get him some help. It's basically like you use your network. I know that you know quite a few people to help people. Like, a lot of people use their network to help themselves. Lauren uses her network. I see it all the time to help other people that really need it. And so I just, this really pisses me off. Like I agree 100% with what Rod is saying. And I want to back it up with my personal experience with you as well.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I think that unfortunately the way, even the fact that I am a felon is
for drug use. I mean,
for addiction.
I can talk about
right?
this.
I mean,
I can talk about this more clearly. So what I'm saying is, even the fact that I am a felon, quote unquote, was because I overdosed on a drug I had too much of on me, because I was a huge drug addict, and because of the mandatory minimum laws, I had to plead to still a felony charge in order to not get a mandatory minimum. After 3 years of fighting, I really should have gone to trial, because I would have probably only been guilty of misdemeanor possession, because there was just no sales or anything. And so now here I am, where my entire presence in the world is basically illegal, and everything I do will be under a microscope, even things that I'm not even that kind of felon. I literally don't know I don't know. This is not there's no class you get when you become a felon that tells you
it's not even your life. It's crazy.
It's not part of my life. And this is
now you're clean too. Let's put that out to the world too.
Yes,
I was around you during that period of time.
Yeah.
We were hosting a show together.
I had seizures
when that happened. It was like you were on the way to the show, I think, when you got busted.
Yes, I was.
I was. And I knew there was something wrong, and I didn't know really what was going on, but it all made sense after to me. And it's like, that's the thing. I couldn't believe that they did this to you when the law enforcement, the new approach is supposed to be, oh, we're really kind to the addicts. No one goes to jail anymore. And here you are, like, you weren't selling to anybody. You weren't a drug dealer. You were someone who got caught with a lot of, you know, because you were using it so much. You were like constantly.
I had just gone to Costco.
Yeah.
Like, basically, you know, like I had just gone to Costco and got enough to last me.
So it's so awful. I'm glad you're like just spilling it tonight, because I've seen you take so much shit from people, especially these like right-wing turtle boy people, or it's like, come on, guys. She wasn't a fucking drug dealer. Anyway. She was someone who had a drug issue. Mm-hmm. And you're clean now. You've been clean ever since, haven't you?
I've been clean for like 5 years. Yeah, I've been clean ever since the day I went.
See, this is what's pissing me off. Like you got dragged through the system twice now for bullshit. It's like the system should be supporting your recovery.
This is actually worse emotionally in a way, because at least I could reconcile what was going on before, because when I was using drugs, I was hurting myself. So I could say I was doing something wrong to myself in my spirit, and, you know, I needed to change and learn something. Probably didn't need to learn that hard, but like I knew I was hurting myself. And so I was able to reconcile what was done to me that way. Whereas in this circumstance, I'm actually trying to do something with my life, something creative and something nice and something completely, like, this is even
positive
less victims than, you know what I mean? Like, even less, like, I don't even know anything about this stuff. And I still don't know if I broke the law. I still do not know if I broke the law. Like, this could all be a crazy vendetta that I don't know, because I you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is that, like, there's nobody in the world who'd be afraid of me, and there's nobody in the world who'd be threatened by me. And there's just, you know, nobody was hurt, not even myself.
Right.
In terms of victimless stuff. So I just,
there's no victim, no crime. It should be no victim.
Like, you know, but
this is a witch hunt. It's
a witch hunt. It's absolutely a witch hunt. And the way they've treated Embry, especially making Embry, you know, Creed banging down the door of, you know,
Embry lost their job.
Embry lost
got
their
him
job
fired.
Because, Creed got Embry fired. Creed was bothering Anthony a bunch of times. I mean, he's like
scaring his cats.
He's, you know, like, my parents are concerned because of, like, sedans parked in the cul-de-sac that they don't know, and in fact may have actually called the cops on FBI agents. So, like, it's very strange. It's like, you know, there was a BPD officer going through my trash, according to my roommate. So it's like real. Like, I don't know how else to say. Like, you know, like, I mean, they're probably outside right now. Like, that's how I feel all the time. And, like, I literally don't even have anything to hide, or, like, haven't done anything wrong. But I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to talk to you people. Like, you guys are, like, mean. Like, they're just mean. And so is the prosecutor. He's being mean. This could all be reasonably worked out. Like, there's no crime here, so let's just chill. But no, they want to justify their jobs. That's what this is. They're justifying their jobs and trying to look equal by going after the left as well as the right. And I mean, it's
lip service.
Yeah, this is how law enforcement works, I guess, these days.
I know them to be conservatives, and so it's not just that they're going after the left and the right. I believe that they don't want to go after the January 6 people, but they got caught with their pants down. They went so hard for Trump, trying to stage a beer hall putsch, a coup, whatever you want to call it, that they had to pretend to go after these people. And I think they're going after them with less veracity than they should. And they see an opportunity to use the umbrella of January 6th. I mean, because let's face it, that was brought up. You know, the Capitol riots were talked about. My lawsuit was talked about. They were butthurt over the lawsuit. They're butthurt over our lefty ideology, and they are using this to go after lefty activists under the umbrella of January 6th. And let's not forget that.
And this is something that has been documented about the Joint Terrorism Task Force for about 10 years now. If you look at Cade Crawford's work, Crockford. Yes. Yeah. One Cade on Twitter. If you look at Privacy SOS, if you look at the ACLU of Massachusetts, I mean, I've called them ever since I was under investigation. When my probation officer told me I was under investigation by the JTTF, like way before it was like the beginning of the summer like in 2020, probably just for hanging out with Rod. I thought they were like, he's like, well, it sounds like they're more interested in your associates. And I'm like, oh, you mean the Proud Boys that we're documenting? Or like, like, what do you mean my associates? I don't associate with those Super Happy Fun America. They should be interested in them. That's really what I thought. Like, I'm not one of those guys. I thought they were going after them. As they should have been, because we went to that to protest the Kyle Rittenhouse rally that Samson was at up in New Hampshire, and they had guns, like real guns, just walking around in public with, So it was, I figured they were like wanting to talk to me about like right wing people, but they never reached out to me.
And this is also nothing new. We got raided. Our film crew got raided by the FBI in 2016 and 2017.
Yeah.
They attempted to swat us when they were Boston Free Speech. All this is well documented. Chris Frone from Weekly Dig had me come on as a guest writer to talk about this. You can see videos of the FBI agents forcing their way into our friend's house in 2016, and they even say on camera, because I put GoPros everywhere, we could get a warrant for this and that and everything in the house, after we already told them explicitly, you can't come in here. So they have a habit of going after us simply for recording the truth.
But the thing is, Creed's also been going after leftists since the Olympics, since the protests of the Boston Olympics. There were FOIAs done on that. I don't know. I don't have the paperwork on the results, but a lot of people that I know who were involved with protesting the 2024 Olympics coming to Boston were completely stalked by this guy. People at Occupy as well. Their social media was completely stalked by him. When we ran into him, when we were at a protest, I mean, these two are just on their phones.
Pretty sure he went after Monica Cannon too.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on with that we know that we're not gonna like. There's information.
I'll leave it at that. But
yeah.
What about what's next? Like what?
Our movie's coming out. We're gonna win an Oscar.
Your movie's coming out December 7th, right? And then January 6th. But what's next in terms of if you're indicted? Like, are they going to throw you in jail right away?
They only do 2 grand juries a month in Portland, Maine. So I guess they'll probably be deliberating the next date in December, and hopefully they do a Steve Bannon with me, and I can just like do a Zoom arraignment or something. I know how grand juries work, and I know we're all ham sandwiches and low hanging fruit. Unfortunately, it will be extremely expensive.
So if they indict you, which it looks like they could easily, because like you said, they can indict a ham sandwich. Yeah. The feds can indict everyone a ham sandwich. Everyone does. Anyone they put up there. I mean, it's almost like that for convictions too, but at least you have a chance to present your evidence, present your side of it, to poke holes in the lies. But
if you can afford
what can people do? Like, what are people going to be able to attend this? What's going to happen then? Like,
you can't attend a grand jury; it's all secret.
Oh no, I'm talking about like if she's indicted.
It will be on the main DOJ website.
Will people be able to go to your trial and stuff like that? Will people be able to attend the trial?
Oh, if I can even make it to trial.
Yeah.
I assume that we'll start with fundraising.
Yeah, I'll need bail first.
And we'll need that to pay piles and piles of lawyers fees.
For like a big old nothing. Like I'm like it's
so people can follow you on basically. So basically, people should just stay tuned to see what happens and how they can support you.
And I am taking character witness statements. We have delivered 40 to the AUSA. More are we do a batch every week. Basically, we are reaching out to other people at the Portland District U.S. Court. And and also the petition. But I've done this before. And I was indicted on BS before with no evidence of the crime they were indicting me on. So I kind of know the drill. I don't want to give up hope, and I don't want people to not support me because of that. I'm just saying, like, let's get ready for the long haul.
That's what I'm saying. So at Splendid Spoon on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're at Rod Weber on Twitter?
Yep. And also taking video testimonials if anyone wants to contribute.
And we'll have a really great video that's succinctly detailed.
Yes, I've made a mini 20-minute documentary, which will be coming out soon.
Awesome.
And dumpsterfirefilm.com.
One of the worst things is that, I know a lot of people. So one of the other things that it's not just about Rod, it's about my involvement with the transparency community, you know, and you know, we joke like whose file's bigger for our activism. And so I think that, you know, it's what especially scares me is knowing what other people that I know have gone through when it comes to the federal stuff. I just, you know, would like to not have to, it's, you know, it's just bad. Fed cases are bad. Like
the worst.
Yeah.
Put the word film before com.
That's what I was wondering. Is that it? It's Dumpster Fire.
But the movie's going to be amazing and way less depressing than this interview. Actually, the movie is really funny and it's all worth it.
Portland Press Herald called it ridiculously entertaining.
In fact, the AUSA saw that article.
Oh yes, yeah, we heard from one of the witnesses. They've seen our press.
Yes. So the more, if anybody wants to do some articles, if they've got a blog or something and wants to give us more press, you know, that actually will help quite a bit because this is a legitimate movie. And, you know, we are legitimate entertainers.
Yeah, you can see my lawsuit win in the New York Times, Daily Beast, all the big lefty ones, you know.
They don't go after Mark Wahlberg. Why go after me? That's all I got to say.
Dumpsterfirefilm.com.
Correct.
And at Splendid Spoon on Twitter, at Rod Weber on Twitter. You can also find him on Facebook and all the usual places. I want to thank you guys for coming on.
Yep.
Thank you, I should say, husband and wife for coming on instead of guys. You're not guys. Lauren's a female. Right?
I'm kind of a dude, bro. Like
kind of are, but you know.
I'm kind of a chick dude.
Wife and husband. There you go.
Yeah.
Again,
no,
I want to.
That's great. We're very happy. You know, everything else is wonderful. So hopefully, if anybody has a god they are on good terms with, they could pray to them too.
Cast your spells now.
Cast your spells now. Light your candles.
We got more comments coming in. Patrick Wilson said, "Good evening."
Hey,
thank you, Patrick.
And Kent Dahlgren. You can say Satan. He prefers to be referred as Lucifer, the bringer of light. Come on, guys.
That's so Kent.
I used to
gave some great video testimony. I appreciate them.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
I'm I don't know what the hell I am. Maybe a Christian, Catholic. I don't know. That's where I grew up. But I have actually done work with Satanists. I actually used to get paid by Satanists. So they used to laugh about me. They were like, this Catholic kid is working for the Satanist.
Wait, was this a Satanic temple?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyways,
but let's not.
I did a little work for them, a little stuff for them. Because I agree with
interviewing that Lucian guy. He was actually
Lucian Greaves.
Yeah, he was
They're local in Massachusetts, Salem, Mass. They do you know, they do a lot of keeping church and state separate.
They do, yeah, that's valid. It's good.
Yeah. So again, I want to thank you both for coming on, Rod and Lauren. It's like we're not even doing a show. It's like we just, you know, review all everything that just happened over the last year. Yeah.
And now you gotta go walk a dog.
Yeah, I do actually. I'll probably get a little break first though, if you know what I mean. I'm always working though. I want to thank all our listeners, everyone that supports us on our, you know, on our iTunes that listens there and who, you know, sharing the content.
Oh, we're on iTunes too.
You're on iTunes. All right.
No, the movie.
Dumpster Fire Film. You can find it on iTunes as well. You can find the Young Jurks on iTunes too. If you don't listen, you know, if you watch online and you're watching on Facebook and you want to catch the whole interview, you can always find us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast. I want to thank Rod and Lauren. Thank you again for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good night.
Well posted.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Best of our ability.
And again, my name is Mike Crawford. I want to thank them for coming on tonight. I guess, you know, just keep posted on what they're doing because this is not right, especially for Lauren. Lauren shouldn't deserve to be a felon at all. And that's what this is all about. They're using her felon status, the FBI, to go after her for political advocacy. And, you know, you may not think this affects you and who cares, but it does. It affects my work. It affects everybody's work. If we're being, you know, I've even been worried that they're going to be coming to my house about this stuff. So people need to wake up. And if you're in the press or you know some people in the press, hit them up and tell them about this story, that they need to make sure that this is on the front page of the Boston Globe, because they really are. They're going after Lauren because of political persecution, and it's pretty awful. And she's a nonviolent person that doesn't deserve to go to jail over something like this. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Michael Driscoll said, it doesn't make any sense at all. Kent Dahlgren wrote, Lauren is one of the good ones, atypically virtuous. Michael also said, learned some stuff tonight. Great seeing everyone again tonight. And I'm just posting all the comments that come in from our listeners tonight. Kent also wrote, the thing is, Creed et al. Are demonstrating how the institution sometimes frequently perverts justice. Yeah, frequently. I think it's not even a question. Look what they did to Barrett Brown. Look how they have teamed up with serial killers. That's what I call Whitey Bulger. That's what I call the guy from New York, Greg Scarpa Jr. Killed over 50 people. The FBI made sure he didn't do any time. The FBI paid that guy. The FBI actually, imagine that. The FBI keeps serial killers on payroll. Now I'm sure they got some Proud Boys on payroll. We've been wondering, how all the Proud Boys afford all the stuff that they have, all these, all their gear, all their big fancy trucks with all the Trump lettering all around them. And I guess the FBI has opened up shop. They're probably funding them. Is there a GoFund yet for Pepsi? Pespisa, Michael's asking. Not yet, but stay tuned. I'm sure there will be. I want to thank everyone for listening tonight and the comments, and I want to thank Rod and Lauren for being on the show tonight. I'm going to close it right now. We're just going to end abruptly, but again, I just want to tell everyone, stay focused on this. Don't let this just, I know we have Christmas and the holidays coming up, but follow them at Rod Weber and at Splendid Spoon on Twitter. And share everything that they're posting, because this is really, really important. Lauren is a real friend of the community. She's a friend of mine, and she does not deserve to go to federal jail. And we want to try to keep her out. And the only way that that's going to happen is the spotlight at this point. Let's be serious. Like, we need a spotlight on her. We need everyone to be saying, no, this isn't happening. All right, I'm Mike Crawford. We'll keep you updated. I'm going to keep track of this. Also, we're going to have definitely some more coverage coming up about the mold issue that we cover frequently, the dispensary moldy cannabis and the corporate shenanigans and the way they treat employees poorly. We'll be covering that on the show very soon. Going to have a lot more shows upcoming. I want to thank everyone who's been supporting us. We'll see you soon. Young Jurks, Mike Crawford checking out.